Welcome to the USAV Officiating Training Junior First Referee module. If you experience technical difficulties or need any assistance with your USAV Academy coursework, please visit the USAV Academy Help Desk. You'll find a link to the Help Desk on each course page under Help and Resources, or simply visit help.usavolleyballacademy.org. As the first referee, be courtside at least 15 minutes before the scheduled match time. You need to remember that at most tournaments, the match time is immediately following the conclusion of the preceding match, so make sure you're at the court in plenty of time. Of course, if you are playing in the match before you're scheduled to officiate, get your whistle and be ready to get the match started as quickly as possible at the conclusion of your playing match. Make sure the court is ready for play by checking to see that the playing area is free of extra bags and water bottles, along with ensuring the game ball is at the table. At the same time, make sure that your officiating team is present and that you have all the necessary paperwork. If you don't know all the members of the officiating team, introduce yourself and let them know they are part of your team for the match. Once you start your timing for the 2-minute shared warm-up time, blow your whistle twice and hold your coin in the air to call for captains. Your captains meeting should be brief but informative. Have the captains introduce themselves, then introduce yourself and your second referee. You'll want to review any ground rules for the court, and if there are any changes to the normal match format. Have your second referee give any comments they have regarding their duties, then conduct the coin toss. Remember, in USA Volleyball, we assign each team a side of the coin, then toss it. There's no calling of heads or tails. Whichever side lands up when you catch it gets the choice. Wish each team good luck, then let your scorer know who will be serving first. Once the coin toss is completed, you and your partner have a lot of responsibilities to ensure a well-run match. First, you'll want to blow your whistle and start the individual team warm-ups. Each team gets 4 minutes to hit, pass, and serve. They can be the only team on the court, and the other team cannot be doing any practicing at all. Encourage the off team to help out by returning the balls from the team hitting. Both you and your partner should be timing this, in case one of you is attending to the other responsibilities when the time is up. As the warm-ups are running, walk over with your R2 and introduce yourself to the coaches. You may have to wait for one coach to finish with their warm-up time. Bring a lineup sheet with you in case the coach has misplaced theirs. Let the coach know of any ground rules for the court, as well as ask if they have any questions. Remind the coach that their lineup is due within 2 minutes remaining in the last warm-up and wish them a good match. You and your partner have other responsibilities during the warm-ups as well. Click on each area to see what you can do for your partner, scorers, and line judges to ensure a well-run match. Remember that you have to keep an eye on your time for warm-ups as you do these during an actual match. You'll need to complete all 3 to move on. Before the match, you and your partner will discuss how to help each other during the match. Here are some areas that you can discuss with your second referee. Remind them of their main responsibilities during the match surrounding faults they call. Ask how they will handle substitutions and timeout requests. Remind them to always give the court back with the ready signal. Ask them if they have any questions. Your line judge teammates are an important part of a well-run match. You'll want to talk with your teammates about what they will be calling during the match. Even if you work with the same teammates all the time, take a few minutes to check in with them. They have 4 basic calls: in-out, touch, foot fault, and antenna fault. Remind them to call what they see and to pay close attention to the match. They may be the only person to see something, and you'll need their help. Although your second referee has the main responsibility with the scorers, it's always a good idea to check in with your scoring teammates before the match. Take a quick look over the score sheet and make sure that everything is filled in properly. Are your names entered as the officials? Are the teams on the correct sides? Is the right team serving first? Has your scorer teammate pre-filled in the second set information? Does your assistant scorer teammate have all the information filled in they need? Remind your teammates that they can take all the time they need during the match to fill in the information for subs. There's no need to rush. One final thing to look at before the match are the team's jerseys. Make sure that the libero is wearing a jersey that contrasts with their teammates and that you can see the numbers on their jerseys. If you have any questions about a team's uniforms, be sure to ask your coach or the head official at your tournament. When your R2 teammate gets the lineups from the coaches, you'll also want to look them over to make sure they are complete. These are the things to look for. No number is on the lineup sheet twice. There's either a number or an X in each of the libero boxes. There's a coach's signature, and there's a C indicating the playing captain next to one of the player's numbers. If there are any questions or something doesn't seem right, be sure to have your R2 teammate ask your coach or the team's coach to ask questions. Once the last warm-up is completed, wish your teammates a good match and go across the court to the referee stand and safely climb up to the top of the stand. You'll bring both teams to their end line and beckon them onto the court. As the teams shake hands, take a quick look around the court to make sure it's still safe to play. Your R2 teammate will have the captain's wave to you, and you can wave back if you want. When your R2 teammate gives you the ready signal, look at your line judge teammates to make sure they're ready and we're ready for play. As the first referee, you are in control of the entire match. You have the responsibility to start all plays and to stop most of them. It's important that you have a good, strong whistle and that you keep a confident, positive attitude during the match. You'll have a lot of decisions to make during the match, but remember that your goal is to keep it fair and fun for the players. To begin the rally, first look and make sure that all 12 players and your teammates are ready to begin. Don't rush. Someone could be tying a shoe. You'll extend your arm toward the serving team, then blow your whistle, and then sweep your arm across. Watch this R1 show the proper way to beckon for serve. During the rally, you are responsible for watching every contact of the ball. Work to make sure that you keep your head relaxed, but as still as possible. As you keep working, try and make sure not to follow the ball, but once the ball is contacted and released legally, get your eyes to the next player, or floor, wall, etc. the ball will contact. When you end the rally as the first referee, you will blow your whistle when you see a fault. We're going to cover the types of faults in the next slides. After you blow your whistle, you will point to the team that won the rally and will serve next, and then you will show the signal for the fault that ended the rally. Once a play is over, you still have a couple of things to do before the next play. Take the time after a play to make sure your line judges, the teams, your R2 and scorers are ready. As you referee more, you'll find a pattern that works best for you. Watch this first referee as he ends a play and then takes a look around the court to make sure everyone is ready before the beckon for the next serve. As the first referee, you'll have some common faults that you'll whistle to end play on. Click on each one to see an example of the fault. After you beckon for serve, make sure you watch the server. They need to release the ball and hit it with one hand. For 15 and older competition, they have 8 seconds to serve the ball and have only one chance to serve. In 14 and under competition, they have 5 seconds to serve and they have the opportunity to retoss once every serve. There are 2 common service faults, a foot fault and a serve that does not cross the net. If the server commits a foot fault, your fault signal is to point at the end line. If the serve does not cross the net or lands on their own court, your fault signal is to touch the top of the net on that team's side of the net. When the ball contacts the floor in bounds, the ball is in. When you see the ball hit the floor, you want to blow your whistle to stop play. Sometimes, when it is close to a line, or if there is a pancake attempt, you may have to look at one of your line judges to help you make this call. To signal ball in, after awarding the point, extend your arm on the side of the net where the ball landed in, pointing at the attack line. Work at pointing about 3 feet into the court. When the ball lands completely outside the court and has not touched a player, the ball is out. Also, if the ball contacts or goes outside the antenna, it is out as well. You may have to get help from your line judges on those balls that hit close to the lines of the court. To signal ball out, award the point, then use both arms to make the signal shown in the picture. Another common fault you will call as the R1 is a caught or thrown ball. These can be tricky, but remember that you must see the ball come to rest on the player. It is not a fault if the ball rolls up a player's arms or other body part. This takes practice, so be patient with yourself and learn from the calls you make. Watch this video, and you will see the setter on your left set a ball that is very close to the net using one hand. She throws the ball back toward her teammate. This is a good example of a caught or thrown ball. One main category of faults is the double contact. It can happen in 2 ways. The first team contact is played twice by the same player in 2 separate attempts to play the ball. After the first contact, a player, setter, or other teammate does not simultaneously contact the ball with both of their hands. When judging the contact, be sure to watch the contact, not the spin on the ball. This is a difficult skill to master and takes practice, so be aware that others may question your calls, but stay confident and keep learning and growing. In this video, you'll see the ball is blocked by the team on your left and passed by a player on your right who you cannot see. The setter in red on the right, number 7, sets the ball very low to the ground, and the ball goes from one hand to the other. The first referee makes the correct call and awards the point to the team on the left. If a team does not return the ball over the net after 3 contacts, once the 4th contact is made, a fault has occurred. Be sure to watch closely to make sure that the opposing team did not touch the ball before you make the 4 hits call. One difference in USA Volleyball is that if the same player hits the ball the 3rd and 4th times, we would signal a double contact rather than 4 hits. It's okay if you don't remember this in the middle of a match. When the ball is touched by a player before landing out of bounds on their side, the fault signal is a touch. Raise the arm on the side of the team that touched the ball with your hand open and palm facing you. This arm will look like half of the ball out signal. Then, use the opposite hand to brush the fingers of your stationary hand with an upward motion to show that it was touched. The hard part sometimes is remembering which arm to use to make the touch signal. Don't worry if you can't get this one right on the first try, as this takes a bit of practice. There are some other less common faults that you may need to call during a match. Let's review these. There are 2 categories of attack hit faults. When a back row player contacts the ball that is completely above the height of the net when they take off on or in front of the attack line. When the libero sets the ball with finger action on or in front of the attack line, and their teammate attacks the ball when it is completely above the height of the net. Remember that the attack has to completely cross the net or be blocked before you can call this fault. To signal an attack hit fault, extend your arm straight up above your shoulder, hand open, and then, bending at the elbow, make a downward motion toward the opposing team. This downward motion should end just above or below eye level, so it does not block your vision of the court or your officiating crew. Another uncommon fault is a blocking fault. This fault occurs when a back row player, including the libero, who is close to the net, reaches higher than the top of the net and touches a ball coming from their opponent. It doesn't matter where the ball touches the player, so long as they were reaching higher than the top of the net when they touched the ball. To signal this fault, extend both arms vertically with your hands open and your palms facing forward. A final uncommon fault that you may see is a reaching over fault. This happens when a player attacks the ball that is completely on the other side of the net, a player reaches over the net and contacts a ball completely on the other side of the net, and an opponent is nearby to play the ball. Oftentimes, you'll see this when a player tries to block a setter that is setting their teammate. To signal a reaching over fault, using the arm of the team that reached over, put your forearm parallel to the floor with your palm facing down, reaching across the net. You can think of this as you are showing which team reached over the net. Now we're going to cover some situations that are important for you to know how to handle as the first referee. As the first referee, you have the responsibility to ensure that all participants behave appropriately and sportingly during the match. Let's look at the tools you have to ensure that you and your teammates have fun officiating and the players have fun playing volleyball. Let's start with team sanctions. Team sanctions are assessed for actions that impact the administration of the match, not for inappropriate behavior by participants. There are two types of team sanctions: improper requests and delay sanctions. When assessing team sanctions, remember that one does not need to occur before the other. This means it's possible to assess a delay before assessing an improper request to the same team. The sanction is assessed based on the action or inaction by the team. It's also important to remember that all sanctions, including team sanctions, are in force for the entire match. An improper request, or IR, is any request from a team that does not affect or delay the match. Some examples of improper requests are any request after the whistle for serve, such as a player entering the substitution zone or a coach requesting a timeout. A request that would result in a wrong player entry. A request by a team member other than the coach or captain. Because an improper request should not delay the match, it applies to a request that is not whistled. So, when the improper request occurs, wave it off, but do not blow your whistle. There is no further penalty against a team that receives an improper request. Any subsequent improper requests by the same team during the match must result in a delay sanction. If you validate the request with a whistle, then a delay sanction must be assessed instead of an improper request. A delay sanction is given for any team action or request that delays the start of play. As noted earlier, second and subsequent improper requests in a match result in a delay sanction. The first delay in a match is sanctioned with a delay warning. As the first referee, show the delay warning by placing a yellow card on the wrist of the side of the team being assessed the sanction. Any subsequent delay sanction results in a delay penalty. When you assess a delay penalty, also award a point and service to the opponent. As the first referee, show the delay penalty by placing a red card on the wrist of the side receiving the penalty. Warnings can be handled in two stages: by issuing a verbal warning through the game captain and by use of a yellow card to the team member concerned. The yellow card warning is not in itself a sanction, but is a symbol that the team member, and by extension the team, has reached the sanctioning level for the match. The yellow card is recorded on the score sheet, but has no other immediate consequences. Although a yellow card is assessed to one team member, each team may only receive one yellow card warning per match. A yellow card for one team participant is equivalent to a yellow card for every member on that team. Once you've exhausted your warning tools, or if the participant commits unsporting behavior, it is time to assess a sanction. Individual sanctions are for behavior by participants that is rude, offensive, or aggressive. Remember that sanctions are not assessed for a violation of match protocol, and that only the first referee can assess an individual sanction. But when your second referee requests a sanction, always honor that request, even if you don't know the reason for the sanction. An individual penalty is assessed for the first rude conduct in the match by any team member and is accompanied with a point and service to the opponent. When assessing an individual penalty, show a red card in the appropriate hand. Unlike an individual warning, each team member can receive a red card once during the match. Examples of rude conduct include swearing through the net at an opponent or directing rude comments toward a member of the officiating team. It is good to note that the red card might very well be the first card that is assessed during the match. A yellow card warning does not have to be assessed prior to a penalty. Expulsion occurs upon the first offensive conduct or second rude conduct in the match by any team member. When assessed this sanction, the expelled player or substitute must remain seated on the bench and may not play for the remainder of the set. Any other expelled team member, for example, a member of the coaching staff, must leave the playing area and bench and warm-up area for the remainder of the set. An expelled player is still subject to further sanction. When assessing an expulsion, show a red and yellow card held together in the appropriate hand. It's important to remember that no further penalty accompanies an expulsion. The opponent does not receive a penalty point or service due to the sanction. Disqualification occurs on the first physical attack or implied or threatened aggression, the second offensive conduct, or the third rude conduct by any team member. The disqualified team member must leave the playing area, bench, and warm-up and spectator area for the remainder of the match. To assess a disqualification, hold the yellow card in one hand, the red card in the other. It does not matter which card is in which hand. And, like an expulsion, no further penalty occurs with a disqualification. Let's go over the procedure for assessing a sanction. Remember that only the first referee can assess sanctions, but will always do so when requested by the second referee. When the sanction is assessed to a player on the court, first whistle and call the guilty player to the stand. Clearly and concisely explain to the player the reason for the sanction and then display the appropriate card. When the sanction assessed is a red card penalty, remember to then signal the team to serve next. When the sanction is assessed to a team member on the bench, first whistle and call the captain to the stand. Inform the captain which team member is receiving the sanction and the reason for the sanction. Lastly, display the appropriate card, and if the sanction is a penalty, remember to signal the team to serve next. The captain should quickly inform the team member of the sanction. When notified, the sanctioned team member should raise a hand in acknowledgement. When assessing a delay sanction, first whistle and call the captain to the stand. Inform the captain of the reason for the sanction and ask the captain to quickly inform the coach if necessary. Then, show the appropriate signal followed by the team to serve next signal if assessing a delay penalty. Use warnings to keep behavior from approaching the sanction stage. When warnings don't work, do not be afraid to assess a sanction. Only the first referee can assess a sanction, but will do so when asked by the second referee. When you assess a sanction, make sure the captain, coach, player, second referee, and scorer are aware of the sanction that is assessed. All sanctions are in force for the entire match. After the last point of a set has been scored and you have awarded the final point and signaled the fault, whistle and show the end of set signal by crossing your arms over your chest, hands open, with your palms facing your body. At the end of the first set, you'll whistle again and then signal the teams to switch courts. If there will be a deciding set, after the end of set signal, you'll whistle again and direct the teams back to their benches. When the match has ended, after the end of set signal, you'll whistle again and signal the teams together to shake hands. When the match is over, get off the referee stand safely and cross the court to your score table. Be sure to thank all of your teammates for all their help and a job well done. There are a couple of final things you have to make sure of with the score sheet before you can leave. First, check the score sheet to make sure that the scores are correct and the right team is listed as the match winner. Make sure the scorer has signed the score sheet, and then you sign the score sheet to confirm that everything is correct. After signing the score sheet, you have completed your responsibilities as a first referee. Make sure you congratulate yourself on a job well done. And don't forget to talk with your teammates about how the match went, what your team did well, and some areas that each person can work on for their next match. You can also talk to your coach or the head official to go over anything that you still have questions on. The last and most important thing is that you have fun this season playing and officiating. Remember that while you're playing or officiating, it's okay to make mistakes. Those are the ways that we learn. Just because you make a mistake, that does not give anyone the right to make any kind of negative or disrespectful comments towards you or your teammates. If you hear any disrespectful or negative comments during or after the match directed at you or your work teammates from parents or spectators, it's important that you let someone know immediately. It is completely okay to stop play for a few minutes while someone on your work team or another teammate gets your coach or the head official to help you with the situation. It is not your responsibility to address parent or spectator behavior. As the first referee, your responsibility is only with the teams on the court. Thank you for completing this module. We hope that you'll have a great season and know that you'll do a great job. As you work this season, remember that you can stay involved by officiating. If you want to learn more about becoming an official in your region, talk to your coach.